Hey guys, I'm Saion Gupta and I'm 11 years old. I'm the founder of 10xcoderkids.com, and if you like this video, don't forget to smash the like button and share this video with as many people as you can. And if you're not subscribed to my channel yet, kindly do it so that you don't miss any of my videos. So without any delay, let's get started. And today we are gonna do a very interesting thing. Today we are gonna learn how to use MySQL. Basically, MySQL is a database. What is a database? In a database, you save information, and it's not like a variable. Variable value like disappears after the program is shut down. But MySQL, whenever you save something, it will stay there till you don't delete it. So MySQL is used a lot in server-side applications. Okay, mostly it is used to save information, data of the user, like for example sign up information, login information and all. Okay, so this is gonna be very fun. We are gonna learn how to connect Node.js and MySQL, and how to insert some details in the MySQL database, plus bring some details from the MySQL database. So this is gonna be a very interesting video, guys, and if you have not smashed that like button yet, do it and subscribe to my channel for more videos just like this. Okay, so basically I will teach a lot of stuff on this channel, like about most of the JavaScript web developers don't know about. Plus I'm gonna teach some more things that are quite known, but still people are not clear with the concepts. So I'm clearing concepts in this channel and teaching how to build apps. And also, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, you should, because it will be a great help for you. So without any delay, let's get started. Jab! And as we know, we are gonna learn MySQL. So Node.js MySQL. So what is basically a MySQL? What is MySQL? MySQL is basically a database where you save information, and that information does not vanish till you don't delete it from the database. Okay, and it is used a lot. For example, you go sign up and then you log in any other time to that website. So when you sign up, that information is saved in a database, and then when you try to log in, it compares the information that is in your database with the information that you have given and checks if they are same. Then it will log in into your account. So this is how it works basically. And yeah, so this is very powerful, MySQL. Okay, and there are some NoSQL databases also, MongoDB, that we will learn after doing MySQL. Okay, so let's focus on MySQL. So Node.js can be used in database applications. So Node.js can also be used in database applications to create database applications. One of the most popular databases is MySQL. So one of the most popular databases in the world is MySQL. MySQL is very, very popular. Okay, so MySQL database. So the MySQL database, to be able to experiment with the code examples, you should have MySQL installed on your computer. To like whatever code examples we'll do, if you want to experiment with me how it all works, you want to check it out yourself, you need MySQL installed on your computer. You can install it. You can download a free MySQL database at mysql.com. So you can go there and download a free database. It will download a database for you. There are two things that you need to download. First is a MySQL database, and if you don't download this, it will not work. Then second is a MySQL driver. Basically, this will connect your Node.js application with the MySQL database. So after downloading this database, you have to install the MySQL driver. So once you have MySQL up and running, so I can show you that MySQL is up and running on my computer. So like I'm going to AMPS over here, and you see, sorry, just a second, and then go to AMPS. So you see Apache is running, PHP is also running, and MySQL is running. Okay, so we are not worried about Apache and PHP. We are just worried about MySQL. We are just concerned about MySQL. So MySQL is on. So that's why I will be able to test all these code examples, okay, that are given over here. Okay, so quite cool till now. Sorry about that. Okay, so to access a MySQL database with Node.js, you need a MySQL driver. So to access the MySQL database with Node.js, you need a MySQL driver that will connect Node.js and MySQL database, your MySQL database. Okay, so this tutorial will use the MySQL module downloaded from npm. So in this tutorial we will use the MySQL module downloaded from the npm. So to connect the driver that you need to install is a MySQL module. It is a normal Node.js module that you need to install using npm. If you don't know how to install packages using npm, do check out my npm video. It will be a great help for you. So to download and install MySQL module, open the command terminal and execute the following. So we will use npm to install MySQL. So we'll just go in the terminal and we'll just do npm install MySQL. So this will install a MySQL driver. So it is running a npm session over here. So let's wait. It takes some time. It's taking a bit time. Okay, so it will install itself. Let's read further. So now you have downloaded and installed a MySQL database driver. So it is doing all that stuff. Rollback failed, load deep, and I didn't know what all that is. So found 15 vulnerabilities and 8 moderate and question mark high. So yeah, let's not worry about them right now. If we have an error in installing this, it will give an import error over here. Okay, so let's just see. So now you have downloaded and installed a MySQL database driver. So now we have installed the driver. Node.js can use this module to manipulate the MySQL database. Now Node.js can use this module to manipulate our MySQL database. So basically, we are going over here and then we'll just go in documents, and over here we'll have Node.js folder. Yes, here it is, where we do all our work. So we'll just open this with VS Code, and now it is opening. Till then we'll just close our terminal because we don't need it now. So here we have already a MySQL.js. It is empty. So let's import. So we'll just import MySQL. So variable MySQL is equal to require MySQL. So if there's a issue in installing MySQL, if there was an issue in installing MySQL, then this statement will give an error. It will give an import error. But if there was no issue, then it will say like that means that our MySQL driver is successfully installed. So we'll just run our MySQL file using the node command, node mysql.js. So we are just running this, and there was no error. It didn't give us any error. So now let's go into our MySQL database. So in Windows, to go in the MySQL database, you need to write MySQL u and then whatever user you want to use. Over here we'll use the root user that's already there, and then you have to give the password. Okay, and password, it will say to enter the password. So it is saying enter password. So in Windows, the root's password is MySQL. Okay, so we entered it and it has entered in a MySQL shell. Okay, so we'll just see our databases using the show databases command. So show databases will just show us what databases we have. So we have all these databases. Information schema is a default database. I have not created it. 10x I have created. 10x drive DB I have created. Community chat I have created. MySQL I have not created. MySQL is already there. This MySQL database is already there. I have not created. And then performance schema also I have not created. It's already there. Predefined. It is already there. I have not created this. And then there's a to-do database that I have created. So information schema, MySQL, and performance schema are the three databases that are created over here, that are created basically by default. I have not created them. And 10 student kids, 10x drive db, community chat, and to do I have created. Okay, so now let's follow the tutorial. Now let's so now we'll create a connection with our MySQL database. So start by creating a connection to the database. So we'll start by creating a connection to the database. Use the username and password for your MySQL database. So we will use the root username, okay, because that's over there and we don't need to create any user by ourselves. It's already there, so we'll use that. So let's see the code first. It is importing MySQL, then it is making a connection variable in which it is calling MySQL's create connection method, and basically in this it wants an object. In that object it wants three things: host, user, and password. Host, we need to give whatever host it is running on, so it will be running on localhost, so we will give localhost. Then user, for us right now we will give the root over here, and password we will give MySQL, as root's password by default is MySQL in Windows. Then we'll do connection.connect. So basically on this variable connection we'll call a connect method. Basically create connection has a connect method in it, so basically a connect method, and we'll call it, and we'll give it a callback function, and that function will check for error. If there's an error it will throw that error, else it will console.log connected. Okay, so let's see if we will be also able to successfully connect to a MySQL database. So first of all we need to create a connection variable. So variable connection equals to MySQL dot create connection, and then we'll pass an object. Host we'll give, that is local host. Then what we'll do, we'll give a user will be root, so we are using the root user over here. And then finally we'll give its password, so password, okay, and that's user only. Okay, and a password will be MySQL. Okay, and this was a connection variable. Now we will use the connect method to connect with the database. So we'll do connection dot connect, so to connect with the database, and then we'll give it a callback function. It will check for an error. If there's an error, then it will throw that error, so it will give us that error, and else it will console.log, so it will log out connected. So this will show, if it logs out connected, it will show that we have successfully connected. Okay, so we'll just save this and we'll run this command once again, and it is showing us connected. So that shows that we have connected to MySQL successfully. That's a great success. Okay, so now we need to save the code above in a file called demo.db connection.js, but we just saved it in mysql.js. That does not that's not a problem. And then run the file. So we just running the file by node command, okay, and which will give you the result connected. So yeah, it was giving us the result connected. So now we can start querying the database using SQL statements. So now we can start bringing data from a database, and we also say that querying a database. Okay, so query, not exactly bringing, we can add something and we can do everything. everything that you do with the database is called querying. Basically, you add something, that's querying, and you bring something, that's also querying. Okay, so query a database. Use SQL statements to read from or write to. So we can use the SQL statements to read from the database or write to a MySQL database. This is also called to query the database. This is also called to query a database. The connection object created in the example above has a method for querying the database. So the connection object that is created in the example above over here has a method for querying the database. Okay, so basically let's first revise this code. We don't have a big gap, but let's still revise it. We have imported MySQL, we have a connection variable, and we are using MySQL.createConnection. That will give us an object. Okay, it will return us an object, but it asks for an argument. One is a host, we need to give it as a host, and the second is a user, root, and the third is the password, that is MySQL. Okay, so it needs this information to know to which user do we want to connect to. Okay, so it will connect to that database, and it will basically connection is an object, it is returning us an object. Create connection is returning us an object. Then we are doing connection.connect. So that object has a method connect, which will connect to that database, our MySQL database. Okay, and we are giving it a callback that it checks for errors. If there's an error, it will throw that error, else it will console.log connected. Okay, then connection has another callback, another method, not callback, method, and basically that is a query method. Basically, query method, what happens, you query things to the database. Basically, querying means to write to the database or to read from the database. So you can query to the database using connection.query. Okay, so over here we can use connection.query. So we can do connection.query over here. Okay, so we can do connection.query. We can do connection.query. Then we need to give it a SQL statement over here, a querying statement, what we want to do. Then we'll give it a callback function. There will be two things: error, okay, if there's an error, and result. So result. Okay, and in this callback we'll do, if there's an error, if we find an error, it will throw an error, or else it will just log out the result. Okay, so it will just log out the result. So let's see, what do you think will come over here? And you're right, an error will come because there is no SQL variable that will query basically to the database, because we have no SQL variable, so, and we cannot query undefined to the SQL database. So SQL database, so that's why it will give us an error. So why is it giving us an error? Because SQL is not defined, and we are just not querying anything to the database, right? We are not querying anything to the database over here. That we are just given SQL, and that does not mean anything to the database. So it is giving us an error that SQL is not defined. Okay, so till now it's quite correct. The query method takes a SQL statement as a parameter and returns the result. So basically it takes a SQL statement as a parameter. So basically it is a statement that will see the database what to do, and basically it will return the result according to that. So learn how to read, write, delete, and update a database in our next chapters. So we are gonna just read and write a database to a database right in this video. In the next videos we'll update, delete, and all. Okay, So writing is like updating only. Okay, so read more about SQL statements in a SQL tutorial. So we don't need to go to the SQL tutorial. We are just fine with Node.js MySQL. Okay, so now let's see how to create a database. Creating a database, there's nothing much in this because it is very easy. I'll tell you, it's very easy. So creating a database, to create a database in MySQL, use the create database statement. So basically MySQL has English like statements. Basically it's very easy to do. It is like English like statements, and we use English in our daily lives, so it is English like, and we have no problem in its statements too. There are no problem to remember the statements as it is all English like if you want to create a database, you'll say create database, and if you want to like create a table, you'll say create table. Okay, so this is a good point about MySQL, that there's no literal problem to remember everything. Okay, so we'll now create a database named MyDB. So we'll create a database named MyDB. So to create that, we in that connection.query part that we gave over here, we just gave an empty SQL. Basically this does not mean anything. SQL is undefined. Okay, so we'll just say that SQL's value, we'll set SQL's value to a create database statement. So we'll say create database, and then we'll name the database. So we want it to be named MyDB. Let's name it my first DB. Okay, so what is happening over here? A SQL is created, a SQL variable is created, and which value is create database my first DB, and then it is passed over here. So basically we are passing create database my first DB, and according to this statement MySQL will take actions. Okay, so now if we save this and we run this code, this should work, and let's show the result. So what result we get? So this should work basically, and it should give us some type of result. So let's see. So it is showing connected because it was connected, then it created a database for us, and now it is showing us the result. It is giving us an OK packet. It's an object which has some properties: field count 0, affected rows 1. So affected rows, maybe it means affected. What is affected? Insert ID 0, server status 2, warning count 0, message empty string, protocol true, change rows 0. Okay, so this is not so important information. Like if you want to understand, you can like put in your brain to understand this, but right now it's not so important. So save the code above in a file called demo createdb.js and run the file. So we don't need that. We are doing everything in the same file, and which will give you the result this: connected and database created. We showed out the result. We console logged the result. That's why it is not showing us database created. It is showing us that result that came from like MySQL. So the next step is creating a table. So what is basically a table? A table is where you will save your information. A table is where you will save information. Okay, so you can't directly save information in a database. You need to make tables in a database, and in those tables you will save your information, your data. So how can you create a table? First of all, we need to create a table. To create a table in MySQL, use the create table statement. So easy. You just have to use the create table statement. The create table statement. That's so easy. Like it's so easy, guys. Create database, create table, and it's so easy to remember. You can anytime just write create table and whatever table name, and it will create a table for you. It's so easy. So make sure you define the name of the database when you create the connection. So whenever you create, like basically we need to make sure you define the name of the database. So once the database is created, you need to give another property to this passing object that you have passed over here, the object that you have passed, that is the database property. Okay, and that database property will have the value of your database that you want to use, in which you want to create a table. You can't just directly add a table in a user. You need to add a table in a database, right? So you need to specify in which database you want to work in. Okay, so after you have created the database, you have to add this property. So creating a table named customers, so we'll just create a table named customers. So over here we'll add another property, that is our database, and that will be my first DB, as we created a database name my first DB. And to show you that it was created, we'll go over here, we'll just show databases, and over here we'll see my first DB. So you see over here it is showing us my first DB over here, because we had created it over here and it was just added. Okay, so it was just added to our database, that's why it is showing us my first DB over there in our terminal. So now we are using the database name my first DB, and in that database, we in SQL statement, we'll change a SQL querying statement. We'll say create a table. Okay, so we want to create a table in our database, and that table will be named customers. So we'll name that table customers. Then we are passing this query and we are doing the same thing. So let's see if we have done the correct thing. So we need to give create table customers, and then there's some more stuff. Okay, so I knew there was some more stuff to be here. This is what is the fields, basically the columns. So basically, if you have seen, I'll just show it to you. I'll just go to paint, and basically a table in a database is like this, a normal table, and you just visualize a table. A table is like this and it has some columns. Okay, so in MySQL also we need to add columns to the database, and that thing over there was specifying what column should be there. So the first column should be name, and then there's a data type in MySQL, that is varchar 255. Okay, so that we don't need to go deep into it. We'll just learn for now that there's another data type named, like there is a data type named varchar 255 in MySQL. Then there's address, and its data type will also be varchar 255. Okay, so we need to add these fields. So now when we give these two things over here, we give this thing over there, what is happening, a name is added, so name, N for name, and then address is added, A for address. So basically this is happening. Okay, so it's not neat at all because I'm just using the keypad to do this. Okay, so yeah, I don't have practice of it, so this was just to make you understand. So basically this statement over here is adding columns to our table where we'll save data. So where we'll like save stuff, like you'll say the name, whenever you user logs in, like we identify the user by the name and address. So basically name and address is saved in a name, the name is saved in a name column, and the address is saved in a address column. So it is very, very organized. It is just like an Excel sheet. Like in an Excel sheet, you give a name, you have an address, and then you have you give some names like Saion, address 6/23, something like this. Okay, it did June 23. Okay, because like June is the 6th month, right? January, February, March, April, May, June. Yeah, June is the 6th month. That's why it just did 6/23. It converted it to June 23. So no worries, but it is something like this. So MySQL is very organized basically. So we'll just close this, and basically we'll add this stuff. So we'll write over here name, and we are adding a name column, and its data type will be varchar 255, and then there's an address column, and its data type is varchar 255. Okay, so this is what it is. Okay, so now what will basically happen, it will create a table in the database MyFirstDB in which we can save information further in this video. So we'll just save this, we'll just run this command again, and then it is showing us connected, and then it is showing us giving us an OK packet. This OK packet is basically the result that is coming from MySQL, but this shows that it has added a table. So we'll just use the database, that MyFirstDB, okay, and see what all tables we have in it. So the database is changed, and now we'll just see what all tables we have in it. So basically we'll just say it, show us what tables we have. So show tables, and it is showing us table customers. This is saying that in this MyFirstDB database we have a customers table. Okay, so this is what it is. And then this same type of information, OK packet and all. Okay, and that's not information to worry about. Okay, so now it is saying us save the code above in a file called demo create table.js and run the file. So it is saying us to run the file, which will give you the result table created. Okay, so now we have created a table. We'll now learn about primary key. When creating a table, you should also create a column which a unique key for each record. So when creating a table, you should also create a column with a unique key for each record. So when you're creating a table, you should also create a column with a unique key for each record. So there should be a unique key for each record, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and a unique number for each record. This can be done by defining a column as int auto increment primary key. Int is the data type, integer. Auto increment is like it will increment it automatically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then it is saying primary key. Primary key basically says that it should be unique, which will insert a unique number for each record, starting at 1 and increased by 1 for each record. So create a primary key when creating the table. So you can also create a primary key when creating a table, when creating the table. Okay, so but we have created customers already, so how will we recreate it? That's not allowed. So if the table already exists, use the alter table keyword. So if it already exists, we need to use the alter table keyword, and we are gonna use that only because we have already created the customers table. So now we are creating a primary key on an existing table. So basically we'll over here give alter table. So we are using the alter table statement, and then we'll alter customers, and in this we'll say it should add, basically add to the table. So add to the table a column. So add a column that is ID, that is named ID, and then its data type is integer. It should auto increment, so it should increment by 1 whenever a new record is added. Automatically it should increment, and then we'll say it should be a primary key, so it should be unique, always unique. Okay, and then it will just query the database. So now if we do this, it is showing us there's some change in message. It is showing and record 0, duplicate 0, warning 0, and this was the only change. So now let's see Let's see. Sorry. We are just gonna go over here. We'll just search on Google how to display table information without any data in MySQL. So we are just searching that how to display MySQL data. Find empty tables in MySQL data. What is this? Display query results without how to show a table without any data. How to show columns in let's search how to show information about MySQL table that has no data. Show data that has no another. Show an empty table. Yeah. Select table. So like we can't see, like we can't do select all from customers. It is empty, so it is showing us empty. So let's leave it. We'll just see how to what columns there are in it after this insert into chapter. Okay, so yeah, so let's just try. How do I view an empty table? How to view table details. How to view table details in MySQL. So yeah, table description. How I did that, but I don't remember the statement. So like okay, so yeah, describe customers. So let's describe customers. So yes, this is what I wanted to show you guys. Okay, so this is showing us what this table basically has. It has 3 fields: name, address, and ID. And then it is showing us a type. Names type is varchar 255 that we specified. Address type is varchar 255 that we also specified, and ID's type is integer. Okay, we didn't give 11, but it is showing 11. That's no worries, but it is integer. So null, it is showing yes, no. Yes for name can be null, address can be null, but ID cannot be null. It is showing no over here. Okay, so key is these two are not primary keys, but it is showing ID is a primary key. That says that it is a unique field. It cannot have same things. The default value for 3 of these is null. So you must be thinking that this field id cannot be null, but how is its default null? So basically it can be just null for one time. Okay, it can be null for just one time. Okay, but any other time it cannot be null. Why? Because it is unique. It should be unique. So by default it is null, but it is, as it is unique, it can't be null once again. And then in extras, these two fields don't have any extra information, but id has an auto increment that is extra, that comes in extra. Okay, so this is what I wanted to show you. This is very important. This is showing us what is happening in the table, what fields, what type the fields have, what is it a primary key or not, what is the extras, what is the default, can it be null, and all of this stuff. So I wanted to show you guys this, and I think we'll just do insert into and select from in the next video, as I think this is becoming too long and too lengthy for you guys to learn. Let's take a break over here, and we'll meet you in the next video. Thank you guys, bye, stay safe, stay healthy, and keep watching my videos. Jab.